from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased. Joining me from the US, Ed Osckar. Ed, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. The way I love to do it, I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves to us. So a little bit about your background, your journey, and what you're currently up to, and then we can take the discussion from there. So the floor is yours.
Well, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mehmet. It's a pleasure for me to be here in your podcast. So thank you for having me. So my name is Ed Osckar. I am a CEO of Wowrack.com. We are a cloud service provider company incorporated in 2001 in the United States. And what Wowrack does today is we provide infrastructure as a service solutions, data center platform for cloud hosting solutions, and managed services to provide systems engineering, network engineering, and cloud engineering for those solutions. I myself originally came from Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia. So I was born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia. I lived in Jakarta for about 12 years, and I went to Singapore for high school. So I lived in Singapore for about 5 years. And right after that, I came to Seattle, Washington, in the United States when I was probably about 17 years old. So went to college here, and I also did my postgraduate, my master's degree in information systems here in Seattle, and I never left. So I've lived most of my life here in the United States for, coming 29 years this year.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What a journey, I would say, Ed. And, again, thank you for being with me here on the show today. The story of Wowrack, it's really fantastic, starting it from, a very humble beginning, I would say, and to the place where, it became today. So what were the main or the biggest challenges you face scaling the business from such humble beginnings?
Well, tons of challenges, right? As an entrepreneur, well, I would say, let's just start with the beginning itself. I mean, when I started the business in 2001, me and my partner, Jimmy, we were just really fresh college graduate. We have no business background. We really have no business being in business. But we were just two really passionate young kids, back in the day. I love anything and everything about the computer and the internet, back in the day. And Jimmy is very similar. And I remember it took us about, 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes this session to just start the business. Right. So the story was there's one evening where I went to Jimmy's house to kind of hang out. And he's like, hey, you love this internet stuff, right? You have some knowledge about, web servers and servers and internet and all of this stuff. And I said, yeah, I do. And he's like, hey, let's do a business. Let's start a business. And I'm like, well, that sounds intriguing, right? I just graduated from school. I have no job. I have nothing. And Jimmy asked me, so how much do you have, like money wise, with you? I said, well, I have $5,000. And Jimmy said, oh, I have $5,000 too. I mean, we didn't really have $5,000. What I mean is I have $5,000 to swipe from my credit card. so we bought like I said, literally we decided in about 5 minutes, hey, let's start this out. We don't really know what it means. Let's start buying domain, making websites. And I didn't even know how to make a website. So I went to my local bookstore, bought a book on, one of those HTML for Dummies book, learned how to make a website in 2 weeks, and launched the website about a month later. So obviously, that was very challenging, right? We were, like I said before, we were just young kids. We didn't know anything about business. There's there's no plan. There's no business plan. There's no departments. I mean, so we started setting up servers, setting up the website, started studying online. And after we saw online, we're like, well, I guess now we have to bill for this services. So we have to figure out how to bill it, right? And then that story kind of continues on really for a long time, 5, 7, 10 years. We were just figuring things out as entrepreneurs, as kids. And what also makes it hard is that our business is very capital intensive. It's
Mhm.
extremely capital intensive, right? So we have to pay power. We have to pay for internet services, and really fast, like fast internet services line, not like your cable modem for home. We have to buy servers, we have to buy software, and we have to buy all of those stuff in order to rent it for our customers. So money is always tough for us. Has always been tough. It's still tough for us today because all of our money, all of the profit, it all goes back to the business, buying equipment, getting the business larger, and larger and larger. And now we own our own data center facilities. It's a 3 megawatt facility with about 450 racks of server racks. We are in 9 different locations in the world, and we probably run about 7,000 hardwares, meaning these are servers, storage, switches, and things like that. And diesel generator, UPS, and all of those money really comes from just the profit going back directly to the business, right? And for many years, there's also a lot of questions about, hey, should we take investment money? Should we sell our equity for investment money for private equity and things like that? And 22 years in business, we have decided to still do it ourselves, right? Toughen it up. We never took any private equity and things like that. And so, as you can tell, it's really tough, right? And we are
Yes.
in an extremely crowded space, right? And I always tell people, like, we feel like we are a small, mom and pop shop, like a grocery shop, and next door there's like Walmart, right? And then next door there's like Carrefour, right? And then on top of us there's like Amazon, there's like Microsoft and Google and everybody, and everybody's like, kind of in the same similar space. So we have to be really creative. And I think how we not only stay in business, but how we thrive is, just operating the business with the right mindset, right? So we are very frugal still. I mean, we're not a startup. We're about 200 people employees today, but we still operate like a startup. Our mindset that we, kind of pass to our employees are still those frugal startup mindset. We are smart in spending our, money, is spending where we need to spend and not spending where we don't need to spend, right? And also we also use a lot of open source technologies, and nowadays with advanced hardware and storage technologies, we're also able to kind of combine everything together and create a multi-tenant infrastructure, and just really be resourceful and be smart enough in order to stay ahead in the business.
Wow, really, it's like kind of like it's like a movie in front of me. Like it's amazing story, and yeah, like coming from the same background, Ed, I can relate to a lot of the things you just mentioned, and yeah, it's a crowded place, and this is one of the things I want to ask you. So the industry changed a lot since when you started it, and you know co-location and people getting hosting services was the new thing, and then came the concept of the cloud, right? So but thanks goodness, I would say, so the concept of hybrid cloud now you know came at the forefront, I would say. So how have you seen the demand for what you offer evolve during the time, and where are we heading? Because honestly, like, I stopped putting my remarks on this because every now and then new things comes and things change very fast. So what's like your holistic view on the cloud computing and the hybrid model?
A very good question. So I would probably start answering the question with this concept. So back in 2001, right, we started the company as a web hosting company. So selling web hosting accounts. So very similar to like your, one-on-one or GoDaddy type of web hosting account, right? And fast forward today, 2024, we probably, gonna say that we are at the maybe 6 or 7 iteration of what we are offering to our customers, because we couldn't stay in business by just selling web hosting anymore, right? And I always tell our guys that, remember the dial-up business, back in the early 90s, it was, the AOLs of the world. It's conquering the world, right? But all of those businesses are no longer here with us because they don't innovate. They are, they get big and they got really slow. They got to be very slow, right, in making decisions, and they don't prioritize, right? So I always share this story with with our guys, and say we cannot be those type of company. We need to continue to evolve, whatever it's the industry is headed to, and especially in the infrastructure world, because that's what we are really good at. We are really just good in infrastructure, right? Back in the day, it's called IP infrastructure, and now it's called cloud and hybrid cloud infrastructure. And what I also tell people is like, it's really, if you look at it, just like wines, right? Wines have been around for a long, long time, hundreds of years, and it still exists in a very similar form today, right? I mean, and people enjoy wines every day, with their friends and families. Really, it's what we're offering. Infrastructure is like wine, but it has different packaging, right? Maybe 10 years ago it came in a green bottle. Nowadays it came in a clear bottle. The wine had different colors, and sometimes we even have box variety. so so we have to continue to evolve to survive in the business. So what I can say is, for you mentioned like co-location and web hosting and dedicated servers and things like that, right? So that's exactly it. When we started the business in 2001, we started offering web hosting solutions to our customers. Then very quickly, we started offering dedicated server solutions to our customers. And very, very quickly, again, we started to offer managed dedicated server solution to our customers. And this is all pre-cloud days. There's no VMware, there's no virtualization, there's nothing. There's no Amazon, there's no cloud, right? This is all pre-cloud. But the goal of our services is to really provide a technology platform for our customers to host their application, right? So back in the day, we have some really fun customers. For instance, we hosted the Madonna website back in the day. We hosted the Got Milk website. I'm not sure if people outside the US are familiar with the Got Milk, but it was a really, really famous milk campaign with milk all over the list here in the US. So we hosted that website, and these are, like I said, early days. Customers need us to provide solutions so that they can scale. Those websites get, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of hits per day. And I think later in like 2008 or things like that, we hosted sites like Cheeseburger. And Cheeseburger is a site where the cat meme, right? It was the very earliest cat meme site on the internet. And I think it went up to like 25 million hits a day or something like that. And we need to work with our customers to provide a scalable infrastructure solutions to host those kind of websites. So then the cloud came, right? Well, I mean, before the cloud came, virtualization came, right? VMware came, VMware version 1, and there's also a lot of open source type of virtualization platforms, which we adopt really, really quickly and offer virtualization to our customers. And then the cloud came, the AWS, late, 2009, 2010, and they really take off in 2012-ish. Then Azure came, GCP came, and everybody came, and it became a really, really crowded space, right? So our take is, we kind of gave up competing with them. I mean, it's even laughable to think that, we or even anybody can compete with AWS nowadays, right? So I think this was back in like 2014 or something like that. Early days as well. We actually also adopted AWS into our offerings. So for customers that need their hosting platform or their, cloud platforms in the public cloud or the hyperscalers, we'll put it in the hyperscalers. for them that needs to have it in, back in the day, we call it the dedicated solution, right? The dedicated infrastructure as a service solutions. We put it in our data center, right? And nowadays it's called the private cloud. And we also have some customers that still needs to have everything on premise, right? These are like the medical folks, some financial folks, or even some manufacturing folks that still needs to have some servers, in their manufacturing plants and things like that. And we say, hey, I mean, this makes more sense to put it on premise. So why don't you put it on premise, and we'll help you manage it, right? So and along the way, that kind of become and this was all before the concept of hybrid cloud even came in. so so that became the hybrid cloud today, right? So basically, it's really simple. You put your infrastructure where it makes sense to you the most. And what makes sense to you the most yesterday doesn't necessarily make sense to you the most today, and certainly may not make sense to you the most in the future, right? Even you are the same organization selling the same thing. So this is what I also tell my customers. So we help our customers evolve, right? And there are a lot of benefit to put your stuff in the hyperscalers, especially if you need to scale, especially if you need to go international. But if you can plan things out, and if you can, understand the capacity and plan it out, there's also a lot of benefit in putting those in the private cloud, because you can save tons of money, right? I liken it to like going to the airport, right? Hey, Mehmet, if you want to fly to Paris like tomorrow, just go to the airport. I'm pretty sure you can find a ticket, right? But you pay through the roof. But if you kind of plan things out, maybe 4 months, 6 months, and you buy like the cheapest seat that's still available, you can save tons of money. And it's very similar with the cloud concept. If you plan, if you know what you're gonna use and spend it on, you can save a great deal of money, with sometimes a better performance and better scalability to have it in a private cloud platform.
Got you. Got you. A lot of insights you just mentioned, Ed. And yeah, to your point, you just also like reminded me of the days when VMware came and how we were excited about it and how it changed, the way we design data centers, and, we do sizing. And to your point, which this is what exactly you mentioned. So there's always the need for having the data on premise sometimes. And now, surprisingly, the AI just brought these things again. Like, okay, we need the compute power to be on premise or to be under our control. And here I want to ask you something, Ed. What you have, because I want to see if what I hear in the market from people I know. So when people were sold the cloud, the full cloud on the hyperscalers, right? So I think there was a trick, is that it's cheaper than running your own data center, which is actually wasn't after all the case. It was more onto, I would say, agility and, maybe being able to scale faster than you would do it. But are you seeing a lot of people doing this comeback from the cloud to the on-premise? Like, what are you seeing in the market?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's even a term for it. It's called cloud repatriation, right? And I believe 2023 is probably, well, now 2024 number has yet to come up, but 2023 and 2024 is probably one of the biggest cloud repatriation effort ever, right? And I think it's supported by a few factors. I mean, rising interest rates, money is tight. Money is definitely super tight for a lot of startup, for a lot of technology company that is still, on the that they're still not strong enough to make their profits. And for a lot of large enterprises, even mid-sized organization, people are trying to find ways to cut money, to cut spending, right? So there's just a lot of, then if this is what I hear a lot from our customers or from other people that I talk to, the finance department or the accounting department, the first bill that they see that's always on top is like, what is this IT bill that nobody understands in the finance department, right? What is
Right.
this? Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or sometimes millions of dollars. And then they go back to the IT department, we need to cut it. And then everybody says, no, you can't cut it. right? So then, typically the conversation is forced to go into, okay, we cannot cut it. So what is another solution that we can come up with to reduce costs in IP spending, in hyperscaler spending, especially, and a lot of organization, especially organization that, well, actually both. Actually, I would kind of say organization that have the capability to move workload back from hyperscalers to on-premise is definitely going to look into it, right? Typically, people look into, well, I mean, there's two options. They look into third-party cloud providers like Wowrack, or they look into, just buying your own gears and getting a colo, and then probably spending more on the IT department in terms of headcounts, and figuring out how to bring it all back in-house, right? Or to the co-location facility, which is what cloud repatriation is about. So we have seen quite a lot of that, right? And I mean, if there's one advice that I can tell people who have not been in the cloud already or in a hyperscaler is, I think hyperscaler is great, Mehmet, like you said, for agility, speed, and scalability. And if you start really small, right, I mean, it costs nothing. But once you get to production, and especially if you are an incumbent company with an existing IT infrastructure, and you want to go to the cloud because, oh, it's more stable, it's going to solve everything, right? Because of this concept of, it's more secure, everything is backed up, everything is redundant. I mean, yes, in a sense it is, but you have to configure it in such a way, right? Or you have to pay in such a way. And if you literally just forklift your virtual machines or your servers from on-premise to AWS, I mean, I don't want to name names, right? To the hyperscalers, whatever it is, then, it's not the most efficient way to spend your money. The hyperscaler is really created for, the next gen application, right? The cloud native application that uses infrastructure as code. Everything is scalable, everything can be deployed as code, and everything can also be scaled down using code. And having a really solid, development team or development resources that understand how to operate the cloud as such, then will yield, all of the benefits of the cloud. But if you really just want to get there because, oh, your hardware cycle is coming up and you don't want to buy new hardware, and you just really want to move it there, and and along the way maybe even cut your headcount in IT because you don't need, Joe to patch the servers, or to go to the, IT closet or data center to, to maintain the servers. At the end of the day, those type of migration is probably not the most cost effective.
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning, the forklift, which is, I believe, was one of the main reason. Now, like because on the show we discuss also a lot about, from differences between startups, enterprises. I see the hyperscalers more fit for startup kind of operations, because first you're not sure yet if your product gonna succeed or not. So you don't need to you don't need to spend money on buying servers and network gears, and bringing, probably, especially if you don't have the expertise. So maybe you are a software developer yourself, but you never done infrastructure. So this is where it becomes hard. So yeah, like the cloud is perfect for you. I've seen this happened a lot across the board, where, again, I did sales also as well, so I can't blame the salespeople. But I mean, the motion was, the way of positioning in front of the CIOs. Uh, yeah, it's like cutting costs, which actually it's not cutting costs. And the whole thing was rushed up, and that's why we ended up. Funny enough, Ed, maybe now there's a family of products. It's called cloud optimization or cloud cost optimization, or or cloud FinOps, right? So they just try to see how they can reduce your bill, which is funny enough. But one of the things which you while you're speaking, it triggered also me is, so, and how have you seen like people really trying to streamline or like optimize the technology department? I don't like to call it IT anymore. I like to call it the technology department, to become more into I would say, revenue generating center rather than just a department that keeps spending the money. Because I wrote about it maybe 2 months or 3 months ago. I'm still, feeling sad sometimes, because when you talk to any executive, not in the technology sector, he tells you, yeah, these IT guys are the ones that they buy, all the new toys and they spend the money, which is actually, if we think about it, it's not the case. Like, because the technology is actually the mean for us to generate more revenue, to get the company from point A to point B, which is probably much better place. So Ed, why is this still happening? We are seeing the technology department, or IT department as people like to call it, as the cost center rather than the revenue generating center.
Right. Well, I see it all the time too, right? I speak with, I mean, the customer base that we normally speak to are typical or answer to are typically the IT departments or the technology folks. So what I typically tell people, right, and this is typically my prospecting conversation with customers and kind of drawing, the dream, right, for the customers, is that what I notice nowadays is IT department today or technology department is very different compared to what it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, IT department means like, this department buys some servers, put it up online and, put some applications in them and operate it, patch it, back it up. And I'm not even talking about the desktop, right? And because that alone is still, still is going on and is still needed. But the core IT department, the basically managing servers and IT network infrastructure, has become large in some companies. Large headcounts, large spend, large operating expenses, and it became like a real cost center because everybody is treating it as such, right? So as the modern tools and technology is available today, right? And virtualization with third-party infrastructure and network solutions provider with the hyperscaler today. And as you are moving all of your IT resources from in-house or spend to a hosted provider or to the hyperscaler, then there's really not much stuff for your IT guys to do anymore, right? So I would still say that they are still largely needed. So for us, the IT guys are our, well, number one, they are our main point of contact and they are our champion for a
Right.
provider like us. And we typically tell them, like typically my main contacts are like IT departments or CTOs or sometimes system admin to kind of, have this concept of not running IT department as if like to babysit servers, but how to make your organization, the IT department, into a technology service department, right? So and make the technology service department to be more friendlier, to be more customer centric, and to provide technology solutions for your customers, which is the employees of the company. And it can be as simple as, hey, we are subscribed, let's just say, hey, we're subscribed to Office 365. And how can we use Teams more efficiently, for instance? Or how can we use Power BI more efficiently and help, different departments figure things out, get those data, pull it into Power BI and use your IT knowledge and IT background, kind of help people and guide them towards that journey, right? And at the end of the day, and this is only a very simple example of Teams and Power BI. But at the end of the day, the IT technology department now becomes essential to the operations of, say, finance, accounting, marketing, manufacturing, and everything. Because now, it's not like the finance people trying to figure out like how to use technology in the full sense to make their department, productive or useful. But now with the technology department help, things can do, right? So that is a very small and doable method for any organization to get there, right? And as you grow, you no longer manage servers And what I even see from some of our customers is that the position of, say, IT manager has been eliminated. And now it became like technology vendor manager, for instance, because now they're managing different vendors, whether it's the hyperscalers, whether it's, third-party providers, third-party developers and whatnot. They are kind of working with third-party solutions and vendors to to solve their IT problems for their company. And when
Right.
you do that, now you are starting to create, value, right? And probably one of my, so I have a good story, a good example, right? So this was a customer of ours 12 years ago. We moved them from the on-prem to our cloud. I mean, it took maybe about 5 to 6 years for them to get situated and not even worry about servers and everything. And the IT department have now become like that technology, solutions department for the entire company. Now they become heroes, they become champions. And for instance, this company have logistic needs to ship out items, between their different warehouses to their distribution centers, to customers. And in order to do that, they have to deploy technology solutions such as network, Wi-Fi's, and scanners, and barcodes and everything, so that they can put it in their product. So at every moment, they know where the product is. And that is put together and led by the IT department instead of the typical, operations or, really even finance department. And now the IT department is becoming champion because the company is not only able to be competitive in the market, but now they know what the product is and they can actually save money based on those data.
Absolutely right. Just quickly, Ed, do you think also the skills didn't evolve with time also as well?
The skills?
Yeah, so the skills of the people who work in the IT department.
The skills. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. I mean, this is the most important. This is the number one thing, right? In order to make all of this work, people will need to be willing to be retrained or to train themselves up to wherever that's needed for a company, right? I think that's number one. And number two, I think being customer service centric, the IT business, the IT department, the technology department, it is a service business. It's not, handling servers and linking lights or, managing all of those. No, it's service business. So I think once you get there by retraining or reskilling your people and then providing better services to your, to your customers, to the employees of your companies, you will become relevant in the business. And now you're no longer a number. You are a essential part of the team.
Right. So this is what I always talk about also, you know, yes, we spend a lot of time, effort, money to train our people on the technology, which is good. I'm not against it, of course, but you should also have spent some time to teach them business, right? So when I say teach them business, at least the basics on how, an organization would look at numbers, right? And what an executive want to hear when you ask them to invest into something. So they want to hear the return on investment. They want to hear like how it's gonna take them further, right? So I think these things were missing. Now I want to kind of move to something. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I have one more thing important to add,
sure.
if you don't mind, in terms of executive type of thinking, right? If you are running the IT department or the technology department for your business, I think it is very easy for you to be on on auto mode, auto drive mode, and just trying to focus on the problem that you're trying to fix, right? Or service that you're trying to deliver. And oftentimes, and I apologize for saying this because I'm one of the IT type of folks are not typically the most financial savvy or financial frugal type of people, right? So I would say in your organization, especially if you want to optimize costs, right? Have an open mind and definitely try to work with someone in typically the finance department or the accounting department that have more of those frugal mindset, right? That have more of those like bottom line type of numbers in their head. So work with those guys and welcome them to the IT organization and have them question like, hey, is this really necessary to spend this much money here, right? And have someone to kind of help you out dial out your costs. And I think over the time, the finance and the accounting department, they will also learn, like, what does all this means? Well, why do you need to spend here? And why do we need to spend X amount of cores and X amount of memory? Show me the data. Do we really use that? I mean, typically I see that more from the finance people. So I think by definitely by working with accounting and finance and having an open arm and welcoming them to have an input on how the IT organization is run is going to be a win for your organization as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like you just mentioned what it was on my head. 100%. Thank you for mentioning this, Ed. Now, just I want to cover a little bit, as we're almost coming to an end, the entrepreneurship journey, Ed, right? So it's not easy. You mentioned some of the challenges, but I'm sure like also you have built this kind of, I would say, what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur, especially in our sector, which is not an easy sector. Anything in technology is not easy because the technology itself allows other people, and you mentioned before, to imitate what you're doing, copy what you're doing. So, in a nutshell, what are like some of the traits or characteristics that you advise people who want to start their venture in technology to have to be prepared for before going on and start this business?
Um, Well, I think this is a very fast moving industry. What matters today may not matter 3 years from now, or maybe completely different 3 years from now. So I think the skill set that for someone who's successful in this is definitely like what you're talking about, reskilling or retraining yourself and being able to learn and learn and learn. So that's definitely number one. Number two, again, just like I mentioned in a lot of time, this is a customer service centric business. All right. So for us, we're fortunate enough where we don't have a lot of churns in our customers. A lot of our customers are long term. A lot of customers starts from small and they buy more services and become bigger and bigger. And I attribute it to service. Right. So number one is definitely service. Because if you don't service them, I'm very sure there's 10 other providers that will court your customers and they will try to service them better than you are. So in my industry, and I'm not talking about the tech industry, right? But in my industry, in terms of infrastructure, we put a lot of emphasis on defense. Right?
Mhm.
So it's like soccer game or football game. There's attacking, there's defense. So if we are able to win a customer, and if we are able to defend them, we will finally score a goal next, right? Because if we defend them and they don't leave, I mean, that's already a big win for us. So work in your customers. When you win the customers, don't make them just like a number and move on to the next guy and move on to the next guy. Once you win the customers, actually try to cultivate them and, make good relationships. Try to upsell your product if you have multiple products and services to these customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Finally, Ed, how people can get in touch and find more about you and your services.
Oh, how? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we are primarily based in the US. That's what our headquarters is. So the company name is wowrack.com, WOWRACK.com. And we have presence in 9 different markets. And we also have a really strong market presence in Asia as well, and also some in Europe. So to find out more about us, definitely hit us up on our website, www.wowrack.com. And I myself are, still are very involved in the business. I can talk both on the business sides and also on the tech sides. And you're more than welcome to hit me directly. My email is very easy. It's just it's ED at wowrack.com. So
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, Ed, really, I enjoyed the discussion with you today. Like a lot of insights, a lot of experience you shared with us today. So thank you for doing so. And, the audience, they don't have to worry. The links will be in the show notes so they can easily, get in touch and, get to know more about you and also about Worak also as well. And, again, like I like the way you covered, the things, you covered both the technical aspect or the technology aspect and service aspect, customer centricity, understanding the business. So all these together like really came all together in a good shape. Thank you for sharing that, Ed. And this is for the audience. This is how I usually end my episodes. If you just find out about this podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, please give us a thumb up, give us a review, and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming again and again, thank you for doing so. I really appreciate all the feedback you sent to me, all your questions, inquiries, and suggestions. Keep them coming. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll meet again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.